Hey guys, what is going on? Jurgen from Zergrino Sports here, and today we are back at it again with a little like post-credits kind of thing, just a little bonus video for the SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 GM Mode series, where we'll take a look at some statistics, like win-loss records and championship statistics in this video, just as a little extra, cherry on top, bow on the present for this series now that it has ended before the SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 series starts. So before we get into this, quick self-plug time. If you would like to support me in the channel, you can do so over at Patreon. It'll be the first link in the description. If you want to go over there, you get some perks, you get some benefits and stuff like that. So if you are able to and you would like to support me in the channel, that would be great. If not, that's a-okay. My Twitter is in the description as well if you want to go follow that. And obviously at the end of the video, if you like the video and all that stuff, likes and subscribe. But, I haven't done nothing yet, so don't do that too fast. So what we're going to do in this video is we're first going to look at some win-loss record statistics, ranging from the worst to best. And then we're going to look at some championship statistics after that. Now, the win-loss statistics, there are two people who I didn't include because they didn't really qualify. John Cena and Mickie James both had 100% win rates on my roster. However, Mickie James had one match and was traded. John Cena had two matches and then was traded. So I didn't include them because they didn't really have matches, and they were only booked to win those matches in order to trade them. So I didn't really think it was too, they didn't belong in the ratings because they weren't really part of the roster, if you know what I mean. And the way that I did the win-losses, the way that I recorded them was multi-man matches. If you got pinned or you didn't get pinned, it counts as a loss if you didn't win it, as well as tag team. If you're not the tag team person who got pinned and you still lost the match, it counts as a loss. I did that. I did not count when you were in somebody's corner as a manager like the game does. I did not count that. I did not count Backstage Brawls because they were not actual matches on the roster. For me, they were segments, and they were just a way to get the segment across in the game. So Backstage Brawls didn't count. The Royal Rumble, I only counted it as a win for the winner, which was Eddie Guerrero. I did not count it as a loss for anybody else, just because it wouldn't really be fair to count that as an official loss, right? But it is an official win for Eddie, so that's how I worked around there. And I don't think there were any other specific things except for one specific person, and we'll get to them when we get to them in the ranking, where I'll explain to you that I kind of had to, bend the rules a little bit for them because they weren't really traditionally booked, kind of. But so without further ado, let's start off. We got Nick Patrick coming in last at number 26 with a win-loss record of 1 win and 5 losses, with giving him a 17% win rate. Obviously, the referee in the game is Nick Patrick, and he had been pissing me off, so I threw him in there for the meme to beat him up a bit week to week. However, he started off at like 30-some popularity. Beating him every week got him down to 0 popularity. Granted, I did give him a kayfabe win, but when I gave him the kayfabe win, I fucked around with the match in the game, so he lost. So in the game, I think he had a perfect 0-6 record. But in the kayfabe, he has a 1-5 record. So, not too great for Nick Patrick, but he was never meant to really do nothing. I short-sightedly gave him a win. I probably could have done something else and gave him another loss. But, I don't know. 17% win rate for Nick Patrick, not too great. Coming up next at number 25, we have Matt Hardy with 3 wins and 14 losses, giving him an 18% win rate, slightly better than Nick Patrick. The unfortunate thing with Matt Hardy in this series for me was I wanted him to be part of my Cruiserweight division, but he's not a Cruiserweight in the game, and I had no plans for him to be in the mid-card or the main event. So he just kind of unfortunately took the role of putting people over and then getting cut from the roster when his popularity was a bit too low. So, only the 3 wins and then the 14 losses there. Probably would have been a fair bit different if he were a cruiserweight, because then I could have done some more stuff with him that I had wanted to do. I don't really remember exactly what I wanted to do at this point because it was so long ago, but I knew I just wanted him available as part of the cruiserweight division, but that didn't work out. So his record didn't work out too well, but yeah, man, 18% win rate, not too great, but not last. Next up, we got Paul Burchell at number 24, giving him 3 wins, 10 losses, and a 23% win rate. Obviously, y'all know what happened with Paul Burchell. For me, I explained it in the videos live while I was experiencing it. I thought that he had a better finisher. I thought that his finisher was from the top rope, and not from the ground. And I also thought his entrance was a bit cooler than it was. When I found out that both of those were not the case, his days were numbered. Obviously, he got a pretty big win on the roster coming against Kurt Angle when I was doing the Kurt Angle and Eddie stuff. So, he did get one very big win, but after that, it didn't look too great for him, especially the week after, because I think I had Kurt Angle retaliate pretty bad. But yeah, Paul Burchell, 3 wins, 10 losses, 23% win rate. Not too great, but yeah, man, that's what happens when your finisher and entrance aren't as cool as I remembered them to be in my head. Then at number 23, we have Chavo Guerrero with 11 wins, 26 losses, giving him a 30% win rate. This one kind of came as a surprise to me when I tallied this up at the end. But at the same time, it didn't really, now that I think about it, because there's going to be a couple people coming up here throughout the list where you're like, oh, that's lower than I would have thought. But at the same time, what I like to try and do in these GM mode series is book people that didn't really get opportunities in real life and book them in those bigger opportunities, or just book them more seriously or better in ways that I think that would have been nice and I think that they kind of earned. So typically, you might see somebody who in real life would have an awful win-loss record have a better win-loss record, and then some people who in real life were booked better aren't booked as well in my game. However, at the same time, I didn't really expect Chavo to have that poor of a win-loss record for me, but I guess I just built him up in terms of like stories and outside of the ring antics, and then once he got in the ring, he kind of took on the role of putting people over. But yeah, 30% win rate for Chavo, not the best, not the worst, obviously, because he's not Nick Patrick, but yeah, probably a little bit worse than you'd expect of Chavo, especially because I love Chavo going in. But he got the freestyles with him, so in the end, he's technically number 1. Coming in at number 22, we have Joey Mercury with 8 wins, 16 losses, giving him a 33% win rate. Yeah, we had Joey Mercury. He was obviously tag team champion for a little bit, a couple times I think, with Nitro in M&M. Then they broke up. Obviously, he was the one who typically took the pins in the tag team, and then he was the one who came out on the losing end in the rivalry between them. So not too many wins there, and quite a few losses, giving him that 33% win rate. And then obviously he got cut from the roster after No Mercy, I believe, right? So yeah, man. Not too great, brother, not too great. Coming in at number 21, Batista with 15 wins, 31 losses, with giving him also a 33% win rate. Now, these two people had the same win rate. What I did, because there's a couple instances of the same win rate later on as well, for the same win rate, what I did was the person who had more overall wins was the person who got higher ranked. So Batista has 15 compared to Joey's 8, so he gets the 21 instead of the 22 spot, but he keeps that 33% win rate and that 15-31-0 record. Like I said, with Chavo, Batista was booked really well in real life. Obviously, I did give him a world title run, a short one, albeit, which we'll get to, but I did give him a world title run, but I did end up booking him, now that I think back on it, in 2 losing storylines. One at the beginning leading to him snapping, turning heel, and then going after the world title earlier on, and then later on with Randy Orton. So, yeah, man, 15, 31, and 33% win rate right there. Not too great for Batista, but it is what it is. Then at number 20, we got Rey Mysterio with 16 wins, 28 losses, giving him a 36% win rate. This kind of surprised me, but also didn't at the same time, because, I gave him a Cruiserweight title run. I think it was fairly lengthy. We'll get into it later when we look at the title statistics. But then again, after that, in fairness, I didn't really push him too hard, so I guess that makes sense. Not too great, but like I said twice now with Batista and Chavo, these guys got really good opportunities in real life, so it's not really my priority to give them really good opportunities and stuff like that. If I can create a nice story that I think would be nice, then I'll definitely include them in it, but it's not my priority to be like, okay, Rey Mysterio, I'm going to give a year-long world title reign. It's not, he's had a world title reign before, and it was shit. It was booked not great at all, but what are you going to do? But yeah, 16 wins, 28 losses, 36% win rate. Not the worst, again, because he's not Nick Patrick, but not the best. Then at number 19, we've got Super Crazy coming in with 7 wins, 10 losses, giving him a 41% win rate. Super Crazy, of course, we brought him in, would it have been after No Mercy? Or would it have been after Survivor Series? Because he had the match at Armageddon, and I built from Survivor Series to Armageddon with him. So I would have brought him in after No Mercy when Mercury left, right? I think I'm remembering my timeline right. So obviously I booked him a bit strong when he joined, so he could be built up as a viable contender for the Cruiserweight title. And then obviously after that, I guess I didn't have plans for him, so his kind of fell to the wayside a little bit on the roster and dropped down a little bit right there, giving him that 41% win rate. But I mean, he's the first one to crack 40% on the roster, so that's not too bad. Moving on to number 18, we have Molina. Now, this is who I was talking about earlier when I said I had to kind of bend the rules. Molina has an official record of 21 wins, 30 losses, giving her 42% win rate. However, the way I booked Molina, the way I recorded Molina's win-loss record isn't based on matches, because based on matches, I'm pretty sure that she had a 2-2 record. I probably should have looked it up. Maybe I'll look it up after and just edit it in. I don't know what I'll do, just to kind of, double down on it. But Molina did have like 3 or 4 matches, and I'm pretty sure she was 50-50 booked, a 50% win rate. However, since her primary role on the roster was to be a manager, for her, I did count managing wins and losses in her record, whether it be as part of M&M or solely Johnny Nitro. So she ended up having a 21-win, 30-loss record, giving her 42%. So it's not an actual wrestling in win-loss record, but since she's a manager primarily on the roster, that's including her managing wins and losses and her 3 or 4 matches that she actually had. So yeah, that's Molina's record. So there's a little bit of an asterisk next to hers. Then at number 17, we had Kid Cash with 11 wins, 15 losses, giving him 42%. Now you might be thinking, hey, Molina had more wins. Why didn't you put her ahead of Kid Cash if they have the same percentage? Because that's what you did earlier with Mercury and Batista. And it's because Molina didn't actually have those matches. So because she was a manager, I put her dead last between her and Kid Cash, just because she didn't actually wrestle 21 wins. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but Kid Cash had 11 wins, 15 losses. Of course, I brought him in, I think, after Great American Bash, right? And then I built him up kind of towards SummerSlam, and then I built him up towards No Mercy a little bit. Or did I bring him in after SummerSlam and then build him up to No Mercy? And then I think he won number 1 contendership at No Mercy. Kept him looking kind of strong going into his title shot with Helms at Survivor Series, and then after that he kind of fell by the wayside. But he was getting some pretty big wins. I gave him a win against Eddie Guerrero, I remember, as a notable win that he had. when he first joined the roster as building him up. So he didn't have too poor of a time on the roster, title match on a pay-per-view, big win over Eddie Guerrero. So, not the best win-loss record, but not the worst time in the world. Then at number 16, we have Mr. Canaday with 18 wins, 24 losses, giving him a win-loss percentage of 43%. Yeah, Mr. Kennedy. Granted, I had a lot of his build-up be done at the hands of Umaga or in outside of the ring segments, you know what I mean? In promo segments, stuff like that, because he's that, he's that heel mold where like this, it's kind of like a cowardly heel, kind of like an arrogant heel, where they have the henchmen that they get to do all their work and then they take the credit, right? So that's the kind of heel I booked him as. So typically those heels aren't really booked as in-ring technicians with great win-loss records. So I guess that makes sense that he had an 18-24 win-loss record there. So 43%. Granted, he had some pretty big wins. I mean, he had the United States Championship. He had some pretty big moments on the roster with the feud with Kennedy and Kane culminating in Hell in a Cell. And then obviously him and Umaga clashing heads at WrestleMania in the Last Man Standing. So he had a decent time on the roster, I think. And to think I signed him to trade him. Wrestling. Up at number 15, we have Psychosis, 5 wins, 6 losses, giving him a 45% win rate. Not too much to say about Psychosis. Signed him around the same time that I signed Super Crazy to build up for the triple threat at Armageddon for the Cruiserweight title. After that, I was like, okay, he's pretty low. I could bring somebody else in for the meme. And then we'll have Super Crazy go over a little bit against him. So, it doesn't surprise me that he had a win-loss record below 50%. However, it does surprise me that he had a better win-loss record than somebody like Kennedy or Super Crazy. Not so much Batista, because Batista wrestled a lot more matches. Psychosis was only there for 11 matches, right? So, but yeah. Then at number 14, we have Booker T with 19 wins, 20 losses, and 1 draw, giving him a 48% win rate. Booker T, obviously, we had him in a couple pretty big things. Didn't win any gold besides tag team gold at the start of the show, at the start of the series with Booker T. He's Booker T with Rob Van Dam. Then we had him obviously go away, come back, do his feud with Book. He's Book. What is wrong with me? Do his feud with RVD, which culminated in that first blood match at No Mercy. Then he eventually moved on to a U.S. Championship program after winning the Interpromotional Survivor Series match for SmackDown at Survivor Series. Then that U.S. program with Chris Benoit, and then obviously facing The Undertaker at WrestleMania. So it doesn't surprise me that he's below 50% too much, just based on how I ended up booking him at the end. But I feel like I booked him kind of strong earlier on, and then it kind of petered out kind of thing. Then at 13, we have Johnny Nitro with 21 wins, 23 losses, giving him also a 48% win rate. Obviously, Johnny Nitro had a lot of losses early on with being paired with Mercury. But then he had some wins early on and then some losses. And then he went back to getting some wins when I was building him up a little bit. And then And then that petered out after he failed to win the U.S. Championship. And then he had a couple more losses, got one big win qualifying for Money in the Bank, and then there you go. So, Johnny Nitro, he's somebody who I would like to do a little bit more with if we have to come back to 2007 after 2006. So maybe keep an eye out for that if that's what we have to do and there's no GM mode in 2K22. He's somebody that I'd like to do a little bit more with on a second go around. Then we had number 12, Randy Orton with 22 wins, 24 losses, giving him a 48% win rate. So 3 people tied at 48% there. Randy Orton had the most wins, so he gets the top rank of the 3. Obviously, Randy Orton had some pretty big matches. He had a world title match against Undertaker in the finals of the World Heavyweight Championship tournament. Then he earned himself the #1 contendership again at Judgment Day, but failed to win the match. Then he kind of stagnated a little bit, and then we had him eventually go on to be a pretty big part of Survivor Series, which then started him going on that losing thing with Batista. They obviously won the tag team titles together, failed to win the U.S. Championship at Armageddon in a fatal 4-way, and then lost the tag titles to Undertaker and Kane eventually. And then he ended up facing Batista at WrestleMania. Then at rank number 11, we have Rob Van Dam with 21 wins, 21 losses, and 1 draw, giving him a 49% win rate. Quite frankly, I think RVD's win rate is a bit higher than I thought it would be. I didn't think it would be up near 50%. I thought it'd be maybe around 40%, because I remember my issue with RVD was I wanted to do stuff with him, but I wanted to do stuff with other people more, so he just kind of like fell a little bit to the wayside. Granted, he was a tag team champion. He did have a reign with the U.S. title, albeit short. Very short, which we'll get into. But, I just kind of... It was just a case of having too little people on the roster, kind of. You know what I mean? With a roster that's only 20, when you're trying to build a certain amount of people, the rest just automatically kind of have to take the losses to build up the other people, which led to RVD, unfortunately, having a lower win-loss record. However, it is higher than I thought it would be going in, so that's nice. He's another person where with another go-around, maybe I'd like to do a little bit more with. But then coming in at rank number 10, we have Carlito, 7 wins, 6 losses. I almost made it so he wasn't really on, because he was only on at the beginning and then he left. But granted, he was a U.S. champion. He was in a big rivalry with Shelton Benjamin. That was a multi-month rivalry, multi-pay-per-view rivalry. So I'm like, okay, we'll keep him in. 7 wins, 6 losses, giving him a 54% win rate. Granted, we did give him a lot of wins with the intention of trading him for Chris Benoit. So... that is a little caveat right there, but he comes in at number 10 with the first win rate above 50%. Then coming in at number 9, we have Eddie Guerrero, 23 wins, 19 losses, giving him a 55% win rate. Obviously, I booked Eddie Guerrero pretty strong leading up to SummerSlam. Then I had him obviously in that little rut where he put people over, which is where I think the majority of his losses come from, because I think it was from SummerSlam till I want to say the No Mercy pay-per-view, where he was losing consistently, and then I started giving him wins again, I think, leading up to Survivor Series, right? So a big portion of those losses comes from that little rut. So it was a condensed amount of losses. It wasn't spread out evenly. It was just all kind of in one bunch, or a big portion of it at least. But yeah, 55%, one more than he lost, of course. He was, one of the most prominent people on the roster. Had a couple title matches that didn't go his way because of Kurt Angle's interference. Had a career on the line match against Kurt Angle at SummerSlam in a cage. Worked his way into the Survivor Series match, which he won, and then got himself a world title shot at Armageddon, which he got himself disqualified because he couldn't control his anger. Then he had to go through the Rumble. He ended up winning the Royal Rumble, getting himself a world title shot at WrestleMania. However, he lost the title shot after putting it on the line against Shelton Benjamin, after Shelton Benjamin attacked his family, essentially. And then he got the title match back only if he were to put his career on the line. And then he faced Kurt Angle at WrestleMania, career versus title. So, pretty eventful year for Eddie Guerrero in my SmackDown vs. Raw GM mode. Then at number 8, we had Shelton Benjamin coming in with 26 wins, 20 losses, giving himself a 57% win rate. Shelton's is a bit higher than I thought it would be, because on a week-to-week basis, I was kind of thinking sometimes like, ooh, I'm giving him a bit too many losses right here, because obviously He's not Kurt Angle's Umaga, obviously. Like we mentioned Mr. Kennedy earlier with a henchman. He's not Kurt Angle's henchman, but he is the second fiddle to Kurt Angle because Kurt Angle's the main guy, right? Granted, I think putting him with Kurt Angle did elevate him. Obviously, he has 26 wins. That's the most wins of anybody so far on the list. So, I mean, he got a lot of wins. You know what I mean? And he got a pretty good win percentage. Obviously, he was U.S. champion, I think, 3 times. We'll get to that in a second. And then he was involved in a lot of big stuff with Kurt Angle. So yeah, I didn't book him as strong as in 2008, giving him the world title or anything. But I still booked him as strong as I could, given what else I wanted to do in the GMO. Then at number 7, we have the Undertaker coming in with 23 wins, 16 losses, giving himself a 59% win rate. Undertaker was booked very strong at the beginning when he was world champion. I think he went a couple months without his first loss. And then after that, the losses kind of kept popping in and out, and then they kind of built up when he dropped out of the main event and kind of got into the tag team scene, helping out his brother Kane against Canaday Umaga. Speaking of Kane, at number 6, it is his brother Kane with 17 wins, 11 losses, giving him a 61% win rate. The first person to crack 60% in the win rates on the roster. You'll notice with Kane that his win-loss is a little bit lower than other people's in this range, with less than 20 wins to his name and less than 15 losses to his name. Granted, I did write him out with injury for a couple months to build him and Canaday and Umaga, right? So that's why he has a little bit fewer matches. And when he came back, he didn't really officially wrestle a match for a little bit. He just kind of did some, storyline progression. So yeah, Kane at number 6 with 61%. Also at 61% at number 5, Kurt Angle with 20 wins and 13 losses. Kurt Angle, however, he has a similar situation to Eddie Guerrero, where all of his losses are kind of condensed in one period. With Kurt Angle, I mentioned how Undertaker didn't get his first loss for about 2 months. I think Kurt Angle didn't get his first win for about 2 months. So I had Kurt Angle obviously start off really slow, which got him to be obsessive about Eddie, right? We all know that. And then eventually, once he was able to better Eddie at SummerSlam, it was smooth sailing from there. He only picked up a few losses after that. Maybe I'll put up on the screen like a before SummerSlam and after SummerSlam win-loss record, just so you can see the comparison, because I don't have it in front of me right now. But 61% win rate, Kurt Angle at number 5, 20 wins, 13 losses. Then at number 4, Umaga with 21 wins, 13 losses, giving him a 62% win rate. Obviously, I booked him pretty strong, didn't really give him too many losses, and if they were, it was a result of Canaday typically. So we had Umaga built pretty strong there, which once again, I only signed him to trade him, and then him and Canaday became one of my favorite, things to book on the roster. So it's crazy how things work out. Then at number, so for Umaga, oh, yeah, I didn't mention about Kurt. Kurt obviously had the world title run. Umaga obviously had the tag team titles with Mr. Kennedy. For a little bit. He could have had the world title because he won the opportunity, or he gave up the opportunity to Helms, Umaga, Iron Man, the Rumble from number 1 to number 30, only getting eliminated by the number 2 entrant, which was Eddie Guerrero. So he had a pretty eventful year. I like to book him pretty strong. And then at number 3, we have Gregory Helms with 29 wins, 15 losses, giving him a 66% win rate. This is one that doesn't surprise me because coming in, I knew I wanted to do something serious with Helms. He was involved in Shelton and Carlito's shtick with the U.S. title for a little bit, getting himself some opportunities here and there, impressing the GM. Even though he was a heel, he was just that impressive. Then obviously we pulled the trigger. We gave him the ball and let him run with it in the cruiserweight division, and he feasted, brother. He feasted in that division as a heel. Then he had that world title feud with Kurt Angle. It turned him face, where he very, very nearly, won the championship. He missed out by a sliver. He took Kurt Angle to his absolute limit at the Royal Rumble, earning Kurt Angle's respect and the crowd's respect, turning him face. And then he obviously finished off his Mania, turning into the Hurricane against Chavo Guerrero for the Cruiserweight Championship in a hardcore match at WrestleMania. And then at number 2, we have Chris Benoit. 26 wins, 10 losses, 72% win rate, the first person to crack 70%, and he's somebody who got a lot of wins. I brought him in. He ran the gauntlet to earn the U.S. title shot against Canaday. He defended it with pride. Notable loss was against Kurt Angle, I guess, at Survivor Series. And then obviously he went on to defend his championship a couple more times. It's in a fatal 4-way at Armageddon, one-on-one against Book at Royal Rumble, against Nitro at the Royal Rumble, not Royal Rumble, No Way Out, and then he had the open challenge after qualifying for Money in the Bank, leading up to Mania, giving him, I think, 4 or 5 consecutive title defenses. So, yeah, he was booked pretty strong, brother. Booked pretty strong. 26 wins, 10 losses, 72%. And now, at number 1, somebody who I don't know why they're here, but they are. So, voila. At number 1, with a win-loss record of 7 wins to 2 losses, giving him an 78% win rate, the Boogeyman was the most well-booked person, the most successful, I guess, person in terms of win-loss record on my roster in the series. 7 wins, 2 losses, giving him a 78% win rate. The Boogeyman at number 1. Yeah, that surprised me, man. That surprised me. I knew he would be up there because obviously I didn't give him too many wins. I had him join after Rumble and then kind of be undefeated for a little bit until he lost to Book, and then Money in the Bank. So he was 7-0 until the go home. You know what I mean? And then so if I book things differently, he could have had not a 100% because he's not winning the Money in the Bank because he's not in 2006 and we're doing the continuous thing. But, he was booked well, I guess, brother. So, yeah, 78% win rate for Boogeyman. That's not too shabby. I also have a couple of extra statistics based on matches. The most matches wrestled by an individual is a 3-way tie with Shelton Benjamin, Randy Orton, and Batista all wrestling 46 matches. The most losses from a superstar or a wrestler is Batista with 31, and the most wins from a wrestler is Gregory Helms with 29 wins. And now we'll be moving on to the title statistics, starting with the Tag Team Championships. What I'll do here is I'll just run you through the order of title changes and wins and stuff like that. Then I'll kind of break it down at the end in terms of longest, combined, all that stuff. So the first tag team champions we had were Rob Van Dam and Booker T, winning the titles on April 5th on SmackDown and losing the titles on May 10th on SmackDown to Eminem. Meaning RVD and Booker T held the titles for 35 days. Eminem then held the titles from May 10th on SmackDown to July 28th at Great American Bash, giving them a 79-day run with the titles, losing them to Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio on the Great American Bash of July 28th, who then subsequently lost them 5 days later on August 2nd on SmackDown back to Eminem. Eminem held the titles from August 2nd for 42 days to September 13th on a Smackdown where they lost the tag team titles to Canaday and Umaga. Canaday and Umaga then, after winning on September 13th, held them for 63 days, losing them on Smackdown on November 15th to Kane and Undertaker. Kane and Undertaker, after winning them on November 15th, held them for 72 days, losing them on January 26th at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view to Randy Orton and Batista, who then, after winning them at the 26th of January at the Royal Rumble, held them for 28 days until February 23rd at No Way Out, where they lost them back to Kane and Undertaker. And then Kane and Undertaker held the titles then from February 23rd to March 30th at WrestleMania for 36 days. Now, I will tell you right now, this is like, I guess, a reveal for 2006, because I don't know if I've mentioned it before. Kane will not be a part of my SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 roster, meaning we will have to vacate the tag titles. So that's not a continuous title reign. That's done at 36 days. They vacated at WrestleMania because on the next day, obviously, the draft would have happened. Bada boom, bada bing. You know what I mean? So Kane and Undertaker are no longer on the same brand. Kane is on Raw, I guess, or maybe they don't want him, but he's not on SmackDown for me. So the titles will be vacated. We're going to have a title match on the first episode of 2006 GM Mode, so, tune in for that. But, yeah, so that's the end of the reign. It's not like it's a continuous reign, continuing past WrestleMania. That's done. So the longest single reign with the titles was Eminem at 79 days. Then the shortest single reign with the titles was Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio for 5 days. When we look at total combined reigns, RVD and Book had their 35-day run. Eminem had a combined 121 days with the championships. Canaday and Umaga had a combined 63 days with the championships. Kane and Undertaker had a combined 108 days with the titles, and Randy Orton and Batista had 28 days with the titles, meaning that the longest combined reign with the titles was 121 days with Eminem. Then we move on to the Cruiserweight Championship, which is a little more short and to the point. The first wrestler to win the championship was Chavo Guerrero on the April 5th Smackdown, holding it for 51 days, and then losing it on May 26th at Judgment Day to Rey Mysterio, who held it from Judgment Day for 75 days until the August 9th Smackdown, where he lost it to Gregory Helms, who then held it from the August 9th SmackDown until WrestleMania 30, until March 30th for 233 days, holding it until WrestleMania, and he is still champion. Spoiler alert if you didn't watch the WrestleMania episode yet. He is still champion after retaining the championship, and he will be on my roster, so that title reign will continue. For how long remains to be seen. So the longest reign, obviously, 233 days. There's no combined reigns because it was only one champion at a time, and the shortest reign being Chavo Guerrero at 51 days. Then we move on to the United States Championship. We had Shelton Benjamin winning the championship on the April 5th SmackDown and holding it for 21 days until the April 26th SmackDown, where Carlito won it because I was playing as Shelton in the hopes of retaining, and then the game beat me, and I was like, well, fuck. Carlito then held the title from 26th of April SmackDown to the May 3rd SmackDown for 7 days, when I held the rematch, and I was like, give me that title back. That wasn't supposed to happen. Then Shelton Benjamin held it from May 3rd for 91 days until the August 2nd SmackDown, where he lost it to Rob Van Dam, who only held it for 7 days, losing it back to Shelton. 7 days, losing it back to Shelton Benjamin on the August 9th edition of SmackDown. Shelton Benjamin then held the title for 9 days until the August 18th SummerSlam, where he lost the championship to Mr. Canaday. Mr. Canaday then held the title from August 18th SummerSlam to the No Mercy pay-per-view on October 13th for 56 days, losing it to Chris Benoit, who then held the championship from October 13th at No Mercy until March 30th at WrestleMania for a 168-day title reign. Obviously, he's still the champion, and that's going to continue into SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. The longest reign being Chris Benoit's 168-day reign, the shortest reign being a tie between Carlito and RVD, who both held the title for 7 days each. Obviously, Carlito was because the game won the title and I didn't want them to. RVD was because Booker T cost him the rematch. Total combined reigns, Shelton Benjamin had 121 combined reigns over his 3 title reigns. The rest of the numbers stay the same. 7 for Carlito, 7 for RVD, 56 for Canaday, and 168 for Chris Benoit. All right, and then we move on to the World Heavyweight Championship. The Undertaker won the World Heavyweight Championship on the May 3rd edition of SmackDown, holding it for 86 days until the July 28th Great American Bash pay-per-view, where he lost the championship to Batista, who then held the title for 21 days until SummerSlam on August the 18th. Undertaker then held the title from August 18th until the September 20th SmackDown for 33 days, where he lost the title to Kurt Angle, who then held the title from September 20th until WrestleMania on March 30th, giving him a 191-day title reign. And then Eddie Guerrero won the championship at WrestleMania, spoiler alert, meaning he is just starting his reign, so he doesn't have a reign statistic yet. The longest reign is Kurt Angle with 191 days. The shortest reign is Batista with 21 days. Undertaker had a combined 119 days with the championship. So basically, the best booked champion over all the titles was Gregory Helms with his 233-day reign. Then Kurt Angle with that 191 days, Benoit with the 168 days, and then we got Eminem with their total 121 days. So championship statistics, man. As you'll see, there, with the exception of the tag titles, the singles titles had some pretty long reigns. For me, that's how you build up a championship, you know what I mean? Like, if it changes hands every week, it's just, like, a placeholder. But if you kind of have the title be the motivation for some rivalries, you know what I mean? It kind of elevates the title, and, you know what I mean? If the champion keeps retaining, it elevates them as being really good, so they're worthy of the title, so the title is on somebody who's really good, so the title's, you know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. That's the statistics video. I might put some extra stuff on the screen, like I said, with Kurt Angle to show his before and after SummerSlam records. Maybe I'll put Molina's official in-ring record as well on her when she's on the screen, kind of thing, just to give some extra info that I didn't have in front of me right now. That's the statistics for SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the series. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video breaking down the statistics. Be sure to tune in for the SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 GM mode, which, if you are not aware, is in a continuous universe. So everything that happened in 2007 exists in the past going into 2006. So Benoit's the champion because he was the champion at the end. Eddie Guerrero just won the title, so he's the champion. Hurricane just defended the title. He's going in with champion. Like I said, Kane is not on the roster. We had to vacate the tag titles. We're going to crown new champions. You know what I mean? So, continuous universe. Be sure to tune in. And, man, hope you guys enjoyed this video. That'd be great. You can check out a link to the playlist at the end cards at the end of the video. If this is the first video they're watching from the series for some reason. You can also check out the 2K14 30 Years of WrestleMania at the end cards as well. You can go ahead and support me in the channel at Patreon if you would like to. First link in the description. If you're able to and you'd like to, that's great. If not, that's okay. Be sure to, I'm having a stroke. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, link in the description. Please sponsor me. Peace Tea. I didn't have any on me today, unfortunately, but I keep that motherfucking thing on me usually, so please sponsor me, guys. Be sure to turn on notifications so you never miss an episode, because YouTube likes to zuck you boy and not put my videos in your sub boxes. So by pressing that nice old bell icon, you will get a push notification anytime I do upload, and you'll never have to miss it. And yeah, man, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, share it to all your friends, comment down below, all that good shit. And I will see you guys next time.